the head coach of the Houston Roughnecks, the one and only son of bum Wade Phillips. Wade, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, well, I got a new gig going, so I'm excited about that. But it's good to be with you. Good to see you again.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're appreciative of the ugly Christmas sweater I'm wearing. I was thinking, should I wear a Roughneck shirt or should I wear this? And I was like, you know what? I want to show Wade Phillips that I support cats.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Very nice.
I won't go any further than that.
Well, the Roughnecks are releasing new uniforms. We've seen the jersey. The jersey looks really cool. I love the helmets too. What do you make of this look? I like that there is a team in town. Maybe it doesn't have the Oilers name anymore, but it's based off of the Houston Oilers, and they got pretty sick unis too.
Yeah, they do. They got an old Derek looking thing, but it's also an H.
Yeah.
So which is and a star, for Texas. So it's got all the right things, and then it's calling it Houston blue and Roughneck red. So
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. And I can't wait for them to get started. If you are unfamiliar listening right now, I mean, it was a blast to just watch this team. I went to a bar once. I was back here visiting because I was up in Seattle at the time. It was called Bobcat Teddy's, and we were watching the game at the bar, and the bar was losing its mind because this team was really exciting. They were undefeated. There were people chanting "Drill, baby, drill, drill, baby, drill." Do you think that should be the go-to line for this team?
It sounds good to me.
You like it? Okay.
You bet.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Working title. So we'll keep it going. Last night in Thursday Night Football, and I know you watched some of the game, we saw the San Francisco 49ers defense absolutely smother the Seattle Seahawks. Is that your favorite defense to watch in the NFL this year, or is there another one maybe that we're missing?
No, I think they look like the number one defense. The Broncos were doing well, but they're losing all their games. But they're playing good defense. And there's a few other teams that are playing. Defense, a little bit of a lost art in the NFL right now.
I know. I do kind of miss it. I mean, maybe it makes me a little bit barbaric, but I do kind of miss the days where quarterbacks were treated a little bit more like other players on the field. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think they're going to have a chair and carry them out one of these days.
Just wheel them out under center?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
That would be pretty funny to see. DeMeco Ryans is the defensive coordinator of that San Francisco 49ers team, and we were talking about it in the last segment. He was trending on Twitter. Everyone's saying, hey, this guy deserves a coaching opportunity, and you coached him when you were defensive coordinator here with the Texans back in 2011. Did you get the vibe that he was ever going to be a coach?
I didn't know that for sure, but he was a smart player, a really smart player, and he wasn't a great player. Usually the great players have a hard time teaching other players because they naturally do things. So I think that's part of it. I mean, a lot of good coaches weren't outstanding players, but they turn out good coaches because they know how to teach, and I think he's done a great job.
One of the things I learned about you, reading your book, Son of Bum, where you talk about your father and you talk about your life experiences. So I did not know that you played linebacker for the Cougs. I did not know that. I did not know also that you were a quarterback and linebacker in high school.
Yeah, I thought I was a quarterback when I went to U of H, but
didn't let you.
Yeah, well, you couldn't play as a freshman then, so we had a freshman team, and I did play quarterback on the freshman team. But at the end of that year, they said you can redshirt at quarterback or you have a chance to start at linebacker. So I ended up playing linebacker, and that's what I played better, certainly.
Is that where
I did hold some records there?
You did?
Until a couple of years ago.
Hell yeah!
Tackles and so forth. So I'm still not sure. I think we still hold a record for the most recovered fumbles, but I have to look that up.
Oh, that's a good record to have.
A long time. Yeah.
Damn. So was that where you fell in love with defense? Like, did you know at that point in time, and I'm sure that being around your father, Bum Phillips, of course, the coach of the Oilers and such a great high school football coach too, I'm sure that was part of why you loved coaching and wanted to coach afterwards. But did you always want to do defense, or did you just want to do whatever you could?
Well, I played defense. I think, I played middle linebacker and quarterback in high school and then linebacker at U of H. So that was my background. That was my dad's background, So, and when I was around him, he was always talking football, but the football he was talking was defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of, by osmosis or just being around it, learned a lot that way and around the coaches that he was with. And when they were on the chalkboard those days, I would sit and listen. And It was about defense. So that's the path I chose.
I was reading up too, and your dad was making terminology when he was in high school, and then of course when he was coaching with Bear Bryant at Texas A&M that like we use today. The terminology that whenever I see, I freeze up because I'm like, wait a second, 3 technique, 7 technique, 1 technique, all that stuff. So that was him. That's crazy.
Yeah, he did that in high school, and he took it to A&M with Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant then took it to Alabama, and they were winning national championships. And everybody was saying, "What are y'all doing?" And he said, "Well, we run, that terminology." So, and then we came up with the 11 personnel. I don't know if you know the personnel is 11 personnel, 12 personnel. That
to an extent, but off the top of my head, you know what? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm intimidated right now. I feel like I got a teacher in front of me, and
Well, anyway, we came up with that. So
cool.
It's utilized a lot, or really throughout NFL for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. You see it all the time, and people are talking about it online now, and I'm like, damn, I wish I could remember this. This is like information that just goes missing from my head. Like 11 personnel. That means there's 1 tight end and 1 running back.
Yeah, 1 back, one tight end.
Okay, cool.
And then there's 5 receivers. We used to call it 1-1-3.
Okay.
But then after a while, we said, well, there's 5. You can figure out, if you call it 21, 2 back, 1 tight end, there's 2 left. So so we shortened it to 11 personnel, 12 personnel, and 13, whatever you want to call it.
Wade Phillips, head coach of the Houston Roughnecks, with me in studio. And it is interesting to see just how coaching is such a tight fraternity. And I was looking up earlier. I was like, is there a connection between Bear Bryant and Newt Rockne? And there actually was. I found out there was a quarterback who I guess played for Newt Rockne, who was a coach of Bear Bryant when Bear Bryant was playing. And I know with that in mind, a long way to come back to. I'm sure in the coaching world that you've had your own interactions with the late Mike Leach. It's so sad to see that he passed away on Monday. Had you ever met him, and what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Mike, a special guy, a unique guy, great personality, wonderful person. And actually, my son was coaching in Canyon, Texas, at West Texas A&M at the time, which was near Lubbock. And he went over to see, Texas Tech because Mike Leach was there. And Mike Leach let him sit in. I mean, he was 22 years old then. Mike Leach let him sit in on the meetings and the coaches' meetings and so forth. I mean, and just passed it on. And my son now coaches for the Vikings. He's the offensive coordinator with the Vikings.
Hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's all connected somehow, certainly, like you said. But Mike was a great guy, and I was it was so sad. And, certainly our family and his family and so forth, we have condolences for them. But we're going to miss him. He revolutionized. I mean, it's an air raid offense. He revolutionized football as far as that's concerned, and every high school runs it now. I mean, it's crazy. In fact, we're going to run it with the Roughnecks, but I'm going to call it the Leach offense.
The Leach offense? I like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Rather than air raid, I'm going to change it because in honor of him.
Yeah, it's crazy to see, as you've said, just the way that offenses have evolved from that. And yeah, I mean, I remember, not that I was any good playing high school football, but we were running back in 2006, like the wing T. We were running the ball every single play.
Yeah,
and I'm like, hey, why couldn't I have this in high school? This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's the air raid certainly has taken over. I mean, people are throwing the ball so much, even in high school these days. It's crazy how much they're doing, and a lot of it comes from that.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what the next evolution is, both of the offensive side of things and the defensive side of things. And some really cool new rules in the XFL that we talked about before things started, that the NFL maybe is going to take a look at, determine whether or not they want to add it themselves. Is there a specific rule that you really liked when you saw what the XFL is going to be rolling out this year?
Yeah, I think the kickoff, one thing, but they're going to start 5 yards apart, which they did before, if you've seen the XFL when they first started. But you start the players 5 yards, so you don't have that collision. You have to kick it where they can return it. You can't if you kick it out of bounds or in the end zone, you're penalized greatly. So in the XFL last time, they had 97% of the kickoffs returned. NFL has 37%.
Yeah, it's like
when you watch the NFL game, you say, okay, they're going to get it on the 25.
pretty much.
So why not just put it on the 25? I mean, it's almost like that now. So, I think that thing. I mean, it's exciting play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kickoff returns are exciting plays, and the NFL certainly has kind of taken that out because the kickers are so strong and they can kick it out of the end zone every time.
Do you have a favorite returner? I know there's Devin Hester. There's Dante Hall.
Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Oh, White Shoes Johnson. Was it because of the dance that he did afterwards?
Yeah, and because he could. I mean, he started all that. All the celebration stuff, and you know, because he was running them back for touchdowns. I mean, they actually kicked the ball out of bounds in a lot of games against him. You know, I think some of his return yardage would have been a lot more, but they kicked it out of bounds, and you just don't see that anymore.
No,
you know, they'll kick it to even the so-called great returners. They kick it to him, but Billy, they kicked it out of bounds quite a bit.
Did he get penalized a lot for the celebrations? Because I know that was
they didn't. No, well, nobody was doing it, so he was the first one, and they didn't. Yeah, they didn't. And then after a while, of course, any celebration was a penalty, and now they've gone back to letting the defenses run down the field and wave to the camera,
do a team photo and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, they're having fun again. It was a no fun league there for a while with no celebrations.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I was reading in your book, you talked about at the very beginning how there is kind of a corporate feel to the NFL where they want y'all wearing the same stuff on the sideline. They want it to be, the polos and everything like that. So I'm wondering, the XFL is different. Is there a chance that cowboy hats and cowboy boots are coming back?
I'd say occasionally.
Okay, I like it.
I mean,
that's enough for me.
Yeah,
just for
and
me.
that's all I can say to you.
Okay,
just
cool.
to you. I'm not talking about it yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. One of the things that I really enjoyed in reading the book, every coach has a different style, and you shouldn't try to impersonate somebody else. And I think that's one of the big issues with everyone who's come out of the Belichick tree. They're all trying to, I think, in their own way, be Bill Belichick, which means being rather aggressive. And I grew up in Massachusetts, so I remember Bill Parcells when I was a kid, and then Bill Belichick, like very strict kind of coach. And reading the book, your dad is like the complete opposite, which is pretty surprising because we're talking about a guy who served in the Marines and from Texas. You'd think maybe he's going to be hard, but no, he's just very loose, and you've kind of embodied the same thing. And I think the thing that he said that you took in, coaching isn't bitching. It's not yelling at somebody else.
It's not griping about something. It's teaching somebody to do it well, and then you don't have to tell them that they did it wrong. And when you tell a grown man or even a young person, I mean, if you explain it to them why they did what was wrong and how they could do it better, they'll do it better. I mean, to me, my dad had so much common sense. I think, we get away from that because we think, and especially guys that haven't coached, think, well, just hollering at somebody is going to make them do it better. Well, I didn't really like somebody hollering at me. I like somebody to tell me how to do it, and I could do it better. So that's the way I've coached.
I think generally too, if a player messes up, they're like, I know I messed up. Like,
well,
you're probably mad at yourself.
But yeah, that's what you hope, is they have a lot of pride in themselves and what they're doing. And, to berate somebody all the time. And it used to be coaches coached by fear. They were scared of the coach because he might, make them run 100 laps or whatever. Or in the old days, they'd kick them in the rear, so,
no.
Or grab them by the face mask.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, but that isn't the way to treat people, any person, even a young person.
I think the cool thing about that style, it's avant-garde. I know, having been up in Seattle, and I got to talk with Pete Carroll a lot, and Pete Carroll, I think, has a similar kind of approach where, hey, like, they're adults, and they treat them like adults. They'll behave like adults. But now it seems like players these days, when someone's getting in their face, say the coach isn't maybe that good at his job, you might be seeing like what's going on in New England right now, where they have some offensive struggles. If a player isn't buying into what the coach is saying, then the coach is yelling on top of it. That's not going to work out very well for you.
No, and it's your job to get it to the player, and so he can get it to the field and play correctly. I mean, and we've all had great teachers. All of us growing up somewhere had great teachers, and you learn a lot from them. And that's what you need to be as a coach. You're teaching them what to do and how to do it.
Comment on the twitch.tv/ESPN 97.5 from the Beerman Greg. Wade Phillips coached my dad in high school at West Orange Stark.
Really? How about that?
Look
What's
at
his
that. He goes by the handle of Beerman Greg.
name? Well, I don't know. I didn't coach a player named Beerman, but
See, that's a good name for somebody,
yeah,
though.
it is a good name, though.
So if you got questions for Wade, you can send them in. There's a couple of people asking some fun questions on Twitter too. I really like something we were touching on a little bit earlier, especially just remembering Mike Leach in the last segment. The Mike Leach offense. We're calling it the Leach offense, and I like the idea of just having a bunch of small, little, fast wide receivers all over the place. And I'm guessing on paper, when you guys do all your scouting, that was one of the big priorities that you had.
Yeah, that's what we did in the draft. I think the slowest receiver that we picked was 4.4. All of them can really run. They're not necessarily big guys, but to fit in that offense, and that's the way you want your draft to do is fit the offense that you're going with or the defense you're going with or special teams. And these guys, not only several of them are good really returners.
Cool.
So since you're returning a lot of kickoffs and punts, you can't cover on punts. So punt returner and kick returner are going to be more important. So we got those kind of guys that can really run. Once they bust it, they're gone.
See, that's what we need more of. I love little fast guys. I don't know if you've been watching the Patriots of late, or like offensively, it's been a struggle. But they got Marcus Jones from the University of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he's a defensive back, but they put him out there every now and then to play a little offense. And holy crap, that guy is fast.
Yeah, he went 80 yards pretty quick.
Yeah, he did. I was like, whoa, where was this guy all year long? It's been kind of hard to watch the offense for New England this season. I don't want to ask too much about the Houston Texans, especially seeing as the Roughnecks are legitimately, they've been the more entertaining product in town over the last couple of years. They were undefeated at 5-0, and I'm not kidding, Wade. There was so much fun at these games. I'm envious of everyone who got to go to Roughneck games when they were happening a couple of years ago. But you look at the situation right now, I do feel like it's just such a hard place to be in, where some of your best players, the Texans, are hurt. And if you're Lovie Smith or any head coach in that situation, what are you supposed to do? Because I know that when you were with the Texans in 2013, which I know was a crazy year, your father had passed away. Gary Kubiak has, a stroke on the sideline, just from a personal standpoint. And then from players are getting injured and all of that. Is there anything that you took away from that year that you'd give us to advice for people going through tough times?
Obviously tough because we 2 years before we won the division for the first time ever, and won a playoff game. And then the next year we did the same thing. And then, of course, we had, all those things going on. We did end up 7th in the league in defense that year. So,
the Wade Phillips defense.
We still had a pretty good group there, but, we lost a lot of close games. And, yeah, it's tough. And I'm a Texans fan. I'm from Houston. I pulled for the Astros. They did all right.
That was fun.
But I pull for the Texans too, but they're having a rough time.
Yeah, they are, and we'll see what happens on Sunday against Patrick Mahomes. It's not any fun, that's for sure. Especially after going up against Micah Parsons last week. You're going up against some of the best players in the league.
They played well against the Cowboys, though. I'll say that for
They
them.
were a little bit scrappy, that's for sure.
But we're looking forward to our season and a winning team. Everybody loves a winner. The Astros, obviously, we pull for them all the way, and hopefully they'll do the same. Everybody will do the same thing with the Roughnecks. And then we've got North Shore playing for the state championship.
Love North Shore.
And my high school, Port Nature's Grove's
I was
playing
going to
for
ask
state champion tonight. So
are you going into the game?
No, I'm not going to be able to go, but
Okay.
I'll probably listen to it on the radio.
Okay, nice. You got the radio call of it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if maybe there's someone streaming the game or something like that, or
hope so.
You could send somebody up there. Somebody wants to be an intern for the Roughnecks. Please record the game on your phone and send it to Wade all game long.
Yeah. Well, they've had a tremendous year. We're proud of them.
That's awesome. I have a question from the text line, 713-780-3776. Okay, it's a cage match. This is a wrestling one. In one corner, you have J.J. Watt. The other corner, you have Aaron Donald. You've coached both of these guys. Who's winning?
Wow. In a cage match, I don't. I think Aaron would be the best wrestler. He can get up under him, I think, and do that. Now I got Reggie White, who wasn't bad. You know, I could throw him in that group, and Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and Ricky Jackson's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Ricky Jackson.
Robert Brazile is in the Hall of Fame. Curly Culp's in the Hall of Fame.
It's crazy.
Elvin Bethet's in the Hall of Fame. So, any of those guys could probably win.
What if we put them all in a cage match? Who's winning that?
I think a lot of people would come see it.
Yeah, I would. I definitely would. Yeah. I mean, shoot, I don't know what would go down at that. But man, that's a ton of awesome defensive linemen, and I wonder about that with the NFL. Some of these guys that you see coming into the league are now they don't look like defensive linemen. They look just like superheroes essentially. Where I remember when Jadeveon Clowney came into the league. Like Clowney is listed at 6'5". He looks like he's 6'7".
Oh yeah.
And he's just shaped like this massive V figure, and he's not even he's like 270 or so, and yet he can shove an offensive lineman like 5 yards off the ball who might be 30, 40 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah, Bruce Smith was like that too.
Bruce Smith? Another one. See?
I don't want to leave him out, but Bruce was about 275 and about 6'5", and but he was, all-time leader in sacks in the history of football. So enough said about him, really.
Yeah, my God. Okay, so who was the most challenging of all those guys to coach? Because I imagine for some of them, they're going to be, hey, like what you say, you agree with. When you see the play on the field, you know that this guy's talented. How much coaching am I actually doing here? But was there one guy that maybe got something out of you as a coach that made you a better coach?
Well, hopefully. I mean, that's why you coach is you help them some. Even the great ones, you can help them some. I think. I feel like that, and some of it is letting them be what they can do. Because some guys, like outside backers, like Von Miller's. Okay, you get a Von Miller, you tell him rush the passer. You get another guy, you say contain the quarterback while you're rushing the passer. Because the great ones, they make the right decisions if you let them, But a lot of coaches say, well, you got to rush and make sure he doesn't get out of the pocket and that kind of thing. Well, you don't want to do that with a great player. You want to say, hey, you rush and get the quarterback, and that's what they do. So some of it's just letting them be what they can be, and I think that helps them a lot, not just teaching them what to do, but helping them be able to do that in a game, unleashing them, so to speak. A lot of people go by scheme, and the scheme says, okay, you contain the quarterback, you don't let him run, this kind of, that kind of. The great ones, you got to let them go.
I like that, and you bring up the scheme. I know in New England, generally the scheme's always been like, hey, you do your job. But I know also way back in the day that Bill Belichick had Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor, not even sure what time he's going to show up before the game, but he goes out there and he does what he does. And I think also you mentioning scheme, like one of the more fascinating things to see of late, the last couple of years, like I'm obsessed with Micah Parsons. I can't get enough of this guy because it's not just that he is fast enough to potentially play safety or something like that and cover tight ends and maybe even wide receivers downfield. They're lining him up as a pass rusher, and he's been, when he's lined up as a pass rusher, one of the best in the game. And if you're a defensive coordinator or you're a head coach and you get to work with a guy like that, I mean, God, you just say, like, yeah, just go do something. This is the Micah Parsons play. Do anything. See what happens.
That's the way I was. I started with the Oilers and I had Robert Brazile, who's Hall of Fame,
Dr. Doom,
Curly Culp, and Elvin Bethet. I coached all of those guys, and they're all in the Hall of Fame. And so I thought I was a hell of a coach, man. Anything I told them to do, they could do. And I go to New Orleans, they were wearing bags over their heads when we went there, and I found out there weren't Robert Braziles everywhere, So we did have Ricky Jackson. We did draft Ricky Jackson, who was a great player too. But I found out, hey, there's a lot more to coaching than just letting them go. You got to teach some of these guys.
What's your favorite? I love Cajun food. What's your favorite?
Well, my wife cooks a great gumbo, and we have gumbo for every holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 20 pounds of shrimp and
holy smokes,
and 10 pounds of crab meat in a seafood gumbo.
Can I come over?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Plenty left, that's for sure. We're going up to. You have to come up to Minnesota this year.
Oh, it's a little cold.
Yeah,
might be a little too cold for my taste.
Yeah.
Even if I have this cat sweater on,
that's right.
Might still be a little too cold. Well, he is Wade Phillips. Wade, thank you so much for taking the time to come in here. I can't wait for Roughnecks season to get started in a couple of months. I will be out there harassing you with weird questions.
Great.
all the time.
XFL.com. Get your tickets. Yeah,
Get the
your
tickets right now.
And family friendly. I'm gonna try to let the kids come out on the field after the game to see the players, get pictures with players and things like that. We're gonna do a lot of things that way, and the prices are right too. So
100%. And for anyone who has been to these games, a couple of years ago, it was such a fun experience. I that part's gonna be fun. Now, I might, maybe be in a different state while watching the game, in the stands and stuff.
Sure.
Pop a couple, but I'm excited. Wade, thanks for coming in, man.
You bet. Thank you.